Welcome, it's 2 o'clock UTC, and we are ready to start this webinar about airsport live tracking. Today's agenda, we are going to talk about airsport live tracking. This is a quite new system. It started a couple of years ago. Frank Olav and myself, we were trying at the start of a competition flying, and we thought that being able to see the aircrafts live on a map would be a great feature, also to make competition flying more friendly for audience. And Frank Olav is a technical guy, so he's a programmer. I'm working on the visual and marketing and the business plan. It's not a big business plan because I think that everything else with flying is quite expensive. So we have presented this system almost free to use. So the competition tool is free to use. The only thing that costs a little bit is the app, which you use for the tracking service. It costs approximately €9 per year, so it's not a big cost, but we need a small price there just to maintain the server cost and everything else. We also got support from the Norwegian Airsport Federation for some of the costs that we have run to so far. So we are very delighted for the support they have given us. Today we are going to talk a little bit about airsport live tracking. I'm going to show you some different competitions which is possible to make in this competition tool, like precision flying or air navigation race. I will also show you how to participate in a competition, how easy it is to get others to join for a competition and just go flying. Then we will go into how to make a competition and the setup of a competition. There are many variables because it's supposed to fill in a lot of criteria if it's going to be an international competition or just a competition locally or just for training. And I'm also going to share how you can share this in the media and some of the thoughts we have made with the media on making competition more friendly for television or on web live casts. So everything is within the airsports.no website, and you can easily download the app for iOS or Android in your Google Store or Apple Store. And it's the only thing you have to remember is that when you register the app, use an email address which you can access from your phone, because the registration will send you a link in an email, and you have to open that link specific on your mobile phone, and then it will allow you to open the app, and you can register your details with name, aircraft ID, and so on. You can also use this app for leisure flying, and it will automatically show the aircraft on the app. And we also have a cooperation with Safe Sky, so your position will also be shown in the Safe Sky app and on the website. This also helps to show competitions, ongoing competition. It will be shown in the map. So for traffic awareness for other pilots, they will also then be aware that there's a competition ongoing. So let's start with looking at some different competitions that are already available in the system. Many of you already know these types of competitions, like precision flying. I will just explain it briefly. You have a starting point and a route you're going to fly at a specific speed, and you have secret gates, you have turning points, and so on. And with the precision flying, you also have canvases, pictures on the route you have to identify. At this point, we are only calculating the score of each turning point or time gate. Then you have to calculate the score of the pictures and canvases afterwards. But the point here is to get an live updated route where you can see the aircraft live on the map and also get live scoring. I'm going to show you this briefly afterwards. Another competition form is the air navigation race, which is a corridor that the crew has to stay inside. You have a time frame of starting point and the finish point, which you have to manage inside based on your speed, and then just stay inside the corridor and follow it based on the speed that you registered from the start. And also here you will have a live scoring. You will also have live scoring if the aircraft is outside the corridor. And I will also show this afterwards. Another competition form that we just started up with, this is actually based on our cooperation with the Norwegian national television company NRK. And it was they showed the national competition in 2021 on TV for 2.5 hours live on the Norwegian main television channel. And there were some features that we saw that could increase the interest for the public and the viewers to make the competition even more exciting. So we looked at the difference between air navigation race and the precision flying. And first of all was to make the competition very tight, so it has a start and an end. So we removed the pictures and the canvases from the precision flying. And we included the corridor from the air navigation race, and we also included time gates from precision flying. So it's more or less air navigation race with time gates, both secret and known time gates. So you can see the route here with the start, you have a turning point, and you also can see an example of a secret gate. And the crew has to stay inside the corridor. If they go outside the corridor, they get a penalty of get a penalty per second. And it's the competition management or the competition organizer which then schedule how much penalties you will get per second. And if we also look at the FIA regular rules, you have a 3 point per second. So, but we try to make this open. So for beginners, it's probably better with a lower score per second, and that's also something we looked at on the national television to make the score very simple for the audience to understand. We also included a danger area or a prohibited area, which you can see in red, where you can draw different polygons on the map, and if the crew enters one of these zones, which is red, they will get a fixed penalty of, for instance, 50 points, 100 points, based on the task or the competition organizer. We also included zones, the yellow ones, which then gives a penalty per second. So if the crew enters one of these penalty areas, they will get a penalty per second they are inside. And of course, with the same as the corridor and the turning points, you can also include a grace time, which the crew will not get a penalty, for instance, like 1 or 2 seconds plus minus the time frame. So you can also include a grace time for both these prohibited or penalty areas. And this is more or less to make it easier for the organizers. So the competition is actually more or less finished when the aircraft has landed. And it also makes it more interesting for the audience, those who watches the competition. We also have some fun routes. It's just to give an idea of what is actually possible. So I just used the polygons with the prohibited areas, with the penalty areas. It's actually based on a precision flying route where I removed more or less the scoring and the time gate. So the whole competition is actually just to try to fly through the competition area without getting any penalties. We also have included the pilot poke run. So for instance, for a club or for instance for a group, maybe not all of them are competitors or like to compete, and just to make something for fun. So we include then a poker run. It includes a track, and we also have gate areas. So immediately when a crew or aircraft enters one of these gates, they will automatically get a card given, and it's then based on a poker. So you can, for instance, have like five gates, as you can see here, where you get five cards, or you can actually have seven cards. So from more or less regular poker, you can go to Texas Hold'em, where you get seven card. It's based on regular poker, and the scoring system will automatically give you a scoring based on your poker hand. And let's just take a look at how to join a competition. Many of you have maybe competition organizers privileges, so you can make a competition, but it's also important to see how can people just attend a competition that you make. So this is an example which I made a different kind of route. So what you see on the map is one competition, and it includes here 4 different routes, tasks. And for those who want to attend, they just click on the competition, and then they choose which competition they want to attend. But you have to log in first, and you do this by entering at the top here for a login. And the first time you just have to reset for a new password, and you will get your own password, and you can log into the website. And maybe the easiest way to do this is to go through the app. Just download the app, and you can open the global map in the menu bar below. And you just find your competition, press on it, and then click further to register. You can do this by the app because inside the app you're automatically logged in as your profile, and that means you can register it directly as your profile. You can also do this on the website where you can go into the competition and press manage crew. So if I want to press manage crew, I first get an option where I have to register my crew. I can register my co-pilot. For instance, here I choose Frank Olav. I choose my aircraft ID. I choose my airspeed and the club. I just did an example down on the right side corner here. For instance, if I press an aircraft ID, which is not already inside the system, it will give me the option of add a new aircraft. So just press add a new aircraft, and it will automatically update the system with the new aircraft. And that also includes your club, which if it's not already in the system, you can just type in the name, and it will then automatically, with add a new club, automatically be in the system. After this, I will press register for start, and I can choose my date for flying. So for instance, I chose today at 4 o'clock. So this will be local time depending on where the competition is. And I can also choose if I want an adaptive start or not. If I don't have an adaptive start, it will choose when I'm going to take off, and I have a time frame to get to the start point. So this will be the time frame of the start point of the competition. I have to take off and that get to the starting point of the competition. With adaptive start, which is very great to use if you are at a big airport with a lot of traffic, if you don't know when you're able to take off, or if you're not quite sure when I'm going to be at the airport. So I want to have a little bit more of the time frame when I'm going to take off or be at the start gate. So if I choose adaptive start, it will automatically give me the option that in the time frame of plus minus 1 hour, I can be at the start gate, and it will then automatically start when I'm passing the starting point. So the only thing to remember there is when you use adaptive start, you have to try to pass the starting point at the precise minute. So it will automatically give you a scoring based on the closest whole minute you're passing the starting point. Other than that, you can print out the chart and you can just go flying. And with adaptive start, it would show you the map with minutes from passing the starting gate. You can also enter wind direction and wind speed when you press register. So that's it. You are now registered for the competition. The only thing you have to start when you are at the airport, you have to start the live tracking in the app, which we have here on the left. You just press start and it automatically starts logging you on the global web page. And do also remember to have competition flying, not leisure, because with competition flying, it's tracking every second of your competition. With the leisure flying, it's only tracking every 5 seconds. But if you forget it, it's not a big deal. It also interpolates between those positions. So you will get a quite good scoring also with leisure flying, but competition will be a little bit more precise. And then you are ready to fly. So immediately when you're registered for this, you will also receive an email if self-management are allowed for this competition. Maybe for some international competition, you won't be allowed self-management because, well, then you will be able to see the route before your preparing time. But just for training and just for making a small competition fund for the club, well, then you can use your self-management. And you will then receive an email and you will get a link to a flight order. This flight order includes what time frame you can fly because every competition and every task, when you are registered to start, it will automatically identify you as a contestant, and it will lock your tracker to your competition registration. And that means you have a tracker time which you have to fly inside. And if, for instance, with my example at 4 o'clock, it automatically gives me the possibility to take off already at 3 o'clock. But I have to finish by 9 minutes past 6. And these are based on the competition details, and it also should be allow me to fly the whole route before the logging stops. But 9 minutes past 6, the logger will stop, and it will automatically stop wherever you are in the competition. So hopefully you're already landed. You will also get some rules based on the organizer has chosen, so you will be able to see the rules. We have also included this also automatically email flight order images from the start point and finish point. These are turned in the direction of the route, and it's a Google Earth picture. Depending on what kind of available maps there are different maps available in different countries, but not all of them are available for public use. And we have to use public maps in our system, which is not copyrighted. So if your country has map which can be used, we can look at integrating them. Otherwise, we have the OpenStreetMap and some open source maps, but some works better than others, so just try them out. So this is based on a Norwegian map, 1 to 250,000. The great thing about automatic registration, it calculates depending on the wind, it calculates on the wind speed, it also calculates the route based on my 70 knots speed, which I did in the registration. It gives me here the corridor. It gives me also the turning point or time gates, and I automatically then get which time I will be at that gate, and I'll also get minutes marks inside the route. So here you can see the minutes mark on this leg of the track. The red small typing here is also the compass headings, which I'm going to use. So it more or less gives me a all prepared map just for go flying. That's mostly what people want. They don't want to sit and do the manual map before they go flying. So you get this in a PDF and you just print it and then you can go flying. It's also, as you can see with the typing, it's automatically turned in the direction of your flight. So you can turn your map in the direction you are flying. And you can also see that it's also included the danger area, danger zone, or prohibited area. It also includes the yellow penalty areas here. And on the right hand side, you see the different turning points, which also then including Google Earth pictures, and it's turned in the direction of the route. So it's easily to familiarize with the turning points. And you see the circle, that's the precise timing gate. And it could be very helpful when flying. Please visit our YouTube channel. We have some film there from the Norwegian National Championship. We also have different tutorials on actually how to register for self-management and small videos to show how can the contestants actually register themselves and how can they use this. But this is how easy it is to register and you get everything prepared and now you can just go flying. To show here a little bit about the new competition form, the Airsport race, it includes the corridor and it also includes timing gate and secret gates and penalty area. And it shows on the top right corner the local watch, and I can also see the time frame of which time I'm going to pass the different gates. We have also included a new feature. Here you can see the arrow showing the estimate score for the next time gate, and it shows you if the competitor is early or late. So here you can see based on my position from the time gate, I have an estimate of 70 points in score. You can see the countdown from in seconds from the time gate. You also can see below how many seconds I'm off based on this time frame. So you can see I'm early, but I'm trying to fly very slow, and you can see the arrow moves, but I'm slowing a little bit too much up, and when it gets red, it shows me that I get a penalty here for 2 points, so it's one penalty per second, and it's a grace time of 1 second, so that means with 3 seconds late, I get a penalty of 2. We have also included an awareness warning indicator on the right side here, and it shows a barometer of how close I am to a danger area or a zone where I'm not going to fly. So when I'm outside the corridor here, you can see the barometer is all up, and after the grace time, it starts counting my penalties live at on the website. So you can follow the track. You seeing the airplane is outside the corridor. It gives a red mark, and you can see here the penalties. And this is very helpful if the penalties are, for instance, not 1 point per second, which is quite easy to understand, but you get the actually live penalty. And you can see that 31 penalties I got, so 31 points. I was outside the corridor for 36 seconds, so it's a 5-second grace time in this competition. And it really helps the audience and watch this live on television or on their mobile phone or on a computer. And here you can see closing up to the finish, 9 seconds left, off by 17 seconds. And totally going a little bit too slow here. And you can see that the countdown is now in minus because I'm too late, and get 7 points for passing the finish line. And with the danger area, it's quite fun because you can do this at the end, and equally with the penalty area, it will show you when you are inside, and you will get a penalty per second you're inside a penalty area. And it's just the organizers who say how much penalty you will get. You can also see the prohibited areas, the red areas, which gives you a penalty per entry. Just touched inside the penalty area here. And I got the penalty. So a total score of 334. And you also get all the details of all the passing, and I can scroll up and down and see what how many points I got and the different time gates. I control this by touching or pressing the total score. And I can also zoom in just by scrolling the mouse button to get even closer. And now you can see if I press this total score, I can see everyone, all the teams in the competition or in this task. So let's then jump in to see how to make a competition. With the organizer make a competition, we can easily set that up if you don't have it. If you have it, go on the icon here. Remember, first you have to log in. You can see some examples here. At the bottom of this page, you get a new contest. It's just press a new contest, and you can type in the competition details. You choose name, which time zone this competition will be, start and finish of the competition. This will show in the global map based on which time frame the competition will be. You can also include position of the competition. If you choose the competition to be public, it will then be displayed in the map based on your latitude and longitude details. You choose which country. You can also choose a website. You can also make a header image, logo, and if you want the result to be ascending or descending, it depends on what kind of scoring system you use for this competition. And just submit. So let's go live and look at how to make a task inside a competition. So first of all, here on the website, I can log out or log in if I'm not logged in. Here I can also manage a crew to join the competition. If I press this icon in the middle, I get into my competition details. And here you can see my webinar test competition, which I made to show you earlier. And I can go into this. Here I can share my competition if I want it to be private. Unlisted. Unlisted, it will not be shown in the map, but I can send a link of the competition to all my friends. So if it's a training task, which I don't want to share with the rest of the world, I can make it unlisted and just share the link with whomever I want to. Or I can make it public. Then it will be visible at the global map. Just press share. And for instance, now I can make it public, and you will actually find this in the middle of Norway, approximately. And you can actually see it live on the web. Team list, if there's any team, contest results. I can also go here, make a new navigation task, permission, if I want to share this competition with someone. and I want them to have access to make changes in the competition, I can, by adding their email, I can give them permission to work on this, and we can work on this together. I can also press update if I want to make changes to my competition. There are two ways to make a task. You can do it in Google Earth and then import the Google Earth task inside or route inside of this competition tool task. But you can also make it in the route editor with routes. And I will only show you this way to do it, but if you want to do it in Google Earth and more familiar with the Google Earth, you can do so. We have an explanation guide on YouTube, a tutorial that shows how to make it and also how to import the route directly from Google Earth. But it's quite much easier to use this route editor. I can make a new route. It opens the global map depending on where you are. So it automatically tries to identify where you are, so you don't have to zoom in too much. And the first thing you have to do is actually make edit. And that allows you to edit or make the route. And I can zoom in. And here we have Oslo Kjeller Airport. And I want to make a route around this area. I have a polygon which I can make in the route or in the map. I can also make lines, and to make it even more precise, I can also choose the Google Earth map. So here I can zoom in more precisely, and I can choose line, and I just start identify my route. So the important thing is now is not to double click anywhere, so I just use my scroll button to move around in the map. And I can zoom in as much as possible to try to make fixed points that are visual for the crew to see. So I choose the last fixed point here. When I think I'm finished, I just press finish here, and I can choose if this is going to be a takeoff gate, landing gate, or a track. So at this point, this is my track. I can zoom out, and if I choose the other map option, it's quite much easier to see the route, and you have a starting point, turning point, turning point, turning point, turning point, and finish point. If I want to make some changes in my route, well, it's first of all, I can just take a position and replace it. And now I have more or less my route. It's also a recommendation to make the route first with the turning points, and then I can, for instance, like here, go in and choose a secret point. Okay, I will also do this in Google Earth just to be sure. So not too bad. So precisely in the middle of the road. So when the aircraft crosses that road, it will be a secret gate. And you can see it just says new here. So what I will do, I will press on the name. And I will call this SG for secret gate. And what's important then is I change the waypoint type to secret gate. And as you can see, there are options of starting point, finish point, turning point, and secret gate. So the important thing is that you check, if you do changes to your route, that it contains of at least one starting point. Then you have the turning point and the secret point, but it also needs one finish point. So it needs one start point, one finish point, and then the rest. As you can see here, it also includes a blue circle. That's the wideness of that time gate. So if I press here again, you can see the wideness of this time gate is actually 1 nautical mile. I can change this to 0.8 or 0.5 or 2, just depending on how difficult the task will be. And I can press done, and you can see the circle getting smaller. The corridor and the corridor will actually be use these time gates as the wideness of the corridor. So for instance, if I'm just going to play along and do something, I can add 2 different waypoints. I can press choose, and I don't want this to be a part of the competition. So no time gate here, but I want this to, for instance, be 3 nautical. And I also choose this one to be 3 nautical, no time frame, done. So with the new waypoints, there will not be time, and I will not get a penalty score when I'm passing the time, but they are still changing the corridor for me. And I can also here just add some navigation difficulties. Choose here, no time gate. And I'm doing this just to show you afterwards how it looks. Okay, so this is my track. I can also then include different penalty area. So I choose a polygon. I want competitors to stay inside of this area, and I press finish. Then I choose if this is going to be a prohibited area. That's a fixed penalty per entry, or I can use a penalty zone, which is a penalty per second. So I choose prohibited areas and not allowed. So this is going to be called danger east. Save. And I can do a similar, and you can see the similarity to the one I already made earlier in my example. And this is also going to be a prohibited area. And for the fun of it, I can also then include a penalty area inside. And if I want to make it more fancy, you have these small squares, and I can easily just drag them where it's suitable. I can do this with a Google Map to make it more precise. I can also use these penalty areas actually as a corridor. So by making more penalty areas, I can make different kind of corridors, which the crew has to stay inside. Now it's important that you don't close this page before you're saved, so I will call this as test EG, and I press save. So this is the basic concept of every route. It needs a track, it needs a starting point, finish point, and then you can add on with a start gate or a takeoff gate, landing gate, or different danger areas. They can also be very nice to have information areas. I press edit again, and just for information for the pilots, I can choose this as an information zone. For instance, report, and you have to report when you're getting back to the airport, for instance. And it will be shown in the map for the contestants, but it will not give any scoring. I can also see here the danger west, so let's make a small change here so the label doesn't go on top of my flying area. And I will label this some squares offset, and I can move the name more or less. So I press save, and we see that the danger west moved more west. So if I zoom out, it will stay on the left hand side. and not be in conflict with the flying area and cover it. So now I'm more or less finished with my route. I'm happy. I go back to my route list after, of course, saving it. And at the bottom here, you can see my route. I can copy it, I can delete it, or I can create a new task. There are two ways to create a new task, either inside the competition, or you can do it here. Here it will automatically choose the general rules of the FIE. If you, for instance, choose here, let's see, first of all, I make a competition. Which contest should this task be added to? And after the competition, I choose what kind of task. So I choose precision flying, air navigation race corridor, air sport race, pilot poke run, or just a landing competition. Then you need a landing gate. So let's start with just a precision flying. And I call this precision. I press submit. And it's ready. So if I go back to my competition here, I can see my competition, which we made earlier, and inside I have a task called precision. Here I can choose to update, where I can choose start time, finish time, scoring system, wind, minutes from takeoff to start point, minutes I need after finish point to landing. I can choose to display the map in the background on the web page. I can choose if I want to display secret gates. This is very useful if some competitors are actually able to see the map on the web page. Well, then you can hide at least the secret gates. I can also include a delay. So if, for instance, if this is a competition for the local club and people can go flying it whenever they like, if they want to go flying tomorrow or next week, they can go. But since I can't control if they're actually bringing their mobile phone, I can add a delay, and that means the aircraft on the web page, on the global page, will be delayed by the number of minutes you choose here. And for instance, if it's 5 minutes, you will see your own aircraft, but with a 5 minutes delay, and it's very difficult then to use the global map to help you with any navigation. You also choose the default map you want to use for this competition. You can also choose the wideness of the lines used in the map. This is the printing map, the PDF you get, how easily it should be to see the lines. And when you update this, you just press submit. So that was update of the competition. I can also update the scoring parameters. This is basic scoring parameters. You get 200 penalties for backtracking. Regular grace time is 2 seconds. Regular gate penalty is 3 points per second. And here I can also choose the scoring inside the penalty zone. On the penalty zone here you can see it's 3 points per second, and it's automatically a grace time of 3 seconds. So you need to stay inside the penalty area in 3 seconds before you get scoring, or before you get any penalties. So you can more or less choose this however you like. You can also see here I have a link to my tracking map. So if I press this, it will automatically open my tracking, and here you can see the route I made earlier. So for instance, if I'm not pleased with this route, let me then just open this route manager once more. I will go to my route, and as long as there's no contestants inside the task. So as you can see here, there are no contestants inside my competition task. And we can see the finish point here is not equivalent with the prohibited area. So I go in here and change edit. And I move this so it's precisely where the time gauge should be, more or less. And there it touches. I press save. Okay, now it's updated. I go back to my task, manage, reload route. Route is reloaded. And if I go into my navigation task and press refresh, well, you can see it's been changed. So that makes it very easily if you want to do changes in your route after you made it and so on. And it automatically gets updated with refresh. I can also make add contestant if I do it manually. Otherwise, we make sure that people can do it themselves. They can schedule or register for the competition. You can also make them register for the competition, not for this task. And I can delete it. I can also share this, as I mentioned, privately, public, or unlisted. And especially if I have a competition, I can make the competition visual first, and then I can make the task visual afterwards, after, for instance, it started. So the public can see it when the competition has started, but not the contestants. So if I choose here to make it public, you can also see this in the public map on airsports.no. So let's jump quickly back to my competition here. I made this, and I go back to my route list, and let's very quick make this one more. Make my competition, and this one I will make as an airsport race, and airsport race new, or just airsport race, and I press submit. Here I can choose between round corners in my corridor, or if I want to have straight corners. And it's recommended if you have more turns, more than 90 degrees, especially if the corridor is wide. We don't recommend using round corners. This is also the same for air navigation race RNA. So be aware of that before you use round corners. But anyhow, you will see how it turns out, and you can see if that's something you will use. And similar here, you can reload your route, you can update scoring parameters, and you can update the competition information. So let's take a look at the track. Here you can see, and not quite thought through, but it gives you an impression. So the wideness of this is based on the gates, and it's 1 nautical mile. So the corridor here will be 1 nautical mile, but as you remember, we choose 3 nautical miles with not scoring gates. So you can see a wide area here. Well, the fun part here is I can actually choose to include some penalty or danger zone inside my route. But the crew still has the time frame. They have to plan for it. And you see the danger area. Well, let's go back to the task, and we can also include another competition form. I can choose here, and still my contest, and now I want it to be an corridor air navigation race. Well, that will be more or less similar, but here we choose the corridor wideness because that will be equal the whole way. So I choose maybe 0.6 nautical miles. Let's skip round corners. Now you can see the difference. So open it. I have my tracking map. And here you can see my corridor based on 0.6 nautical miles. And it also comes into this danger area. If you don't want the danger, well, then you have to remove it first from the route editor. But very easily to make a competition like this with the route editor. Here is my competition with my precision flying, my air sport race, my air navigation race, my poker race. and I just click on the one I want to look at. And because these are also allow self-management, I can press Manage Crew, and I'm already registered with my name and my co-pilot, which I can see here. Change details. Here you can see my details for my new competition. Here is Frank Olav as a co-pilot. I press task details, schedule flight. Let's start with the airsport race. I schedule flight. Well, I'm going to be able to be at the starting point in approximately 1 hour. So that means if I'm at the airport, I can actually just press adaptive start, and I'm more or less ready to fly. Register. I'm already competing in another competition, so I can't compete in 2 competitions at the same time. But if I'm then able to press schedule flight, I will automatically receive my flight order here with the competition details. I will get the map, and I will get the turning point images from Google Earth. This is how it will then be explained live with the countdown, the arrow showing how close you are to the gate, and you also have the warning indicator if you're close to a danger or area where you're not supposed to fly. Frank Ola, maybe you can say very shortly about the app.
Sure. So the apps obviously use regular built-in GPS receivers in the phones. You can also use an external Bluetooth GPS receiver if that's supported by your operating system. Using the internal GPS receiver, we can typically pull out a position every 1 or 2 seconds. It varies a bit between Android and iOS. And the position is then stored internally in the cell phone and transmitted immediately to the tracking server. If there is no network available, we will buffer the positions, and once the network is restored, they will be transmitted in order. So if you fly in an area with poor coverage, you will see the aircraft moving on the map, and then it will stop for a period, and then it will fast forward to the point where it got back into network coverage and then continue from there. So it will be the result will be a continuous flight, but it might be stopped a bit on the map during the network outage. When the positions are received by the calculate process for the contestant, we perform a very simple linear interpolation. So if there's any gaps between the positions more than a second, so if you send positions every other seconds, we will interpolate the position in between, so that during the calculation we will have a position every single second throughout the flight. And for very small gaps, this will be quite accurate. Of course, if there's a gap of a minute, then that's something else. But typically, we'll have positions once every second, every 2 seconds, so the interpolation will be quite precise. And then the gate crossing time is calculated then between the 2 positions before and after the gate. So you get the exact crossing time, and then we round that to the nearest second to calculate the score.
So thank you very much, and I wish everyone a pleasant day.